Sometimes, you don't know how hard you're hanging on until you let go. Thanks to Eli, I'd learned to put my faith in the universe, in the road, and in the people who walked it with me. But now, those people were all about to leave my life. And once again, I would walk alone.
What has happened today is a story we must print it on my paper, no matter what the consequences.
I applauded Kang's new sense of purpose, but in this case, I tried to explain it would do more harm than good. Kang didn't understand.
How can telling the truth be bad?
Surprisingly, it was Lulu who saw the value of sitting on the biggest story of her young career.
I don't like it, but Russell's right. If Arnold and the historians find out too soon what we've done, then it was all for nothing.
And what we'd done was risk our lives to tell a story bigger than all of us. A story whose ending was really the beginning of a whole new chapter in all our lives. When it was just the two of us, I told Delandre it was time to head north. But she had other ideas.
I'm not going with you, Russ. I'm getting on that ship. I'm going to make sure your journal gets read.
Are you sure?
All my life I've been hiding. Behind a badge, then a mask, and now you. Always someone else's cause, never my own. But that ends today.
I couldn't have done it without you, Del. Thank you.
No. Thank you, Russ. When you get to Seattle, I hope they're both there.
I didn't want to let her go, but I had this feeling our paths would cross again somewhere down the road. Letting go finally allowed me to see how hard I'd been holding on to Delandre. How, in such a short time, I'd come to depend on her strength and courage. And yet, just when I would need her most, she was gone. I thought I was done with Arnold and the historians, too, but I'd been holding on to my quest for answers for so long.
Get the train ready. The next stop's San Rafael, the Adina Biotech. We are going to sweep up the rest of this Parthia mess once and for all.
When I heard their plans, there was just no way in hell I could let go. Even when the universe seems to be on your side, opportunity still requires action. Arnold had inadvertently told me where to go, and Delandre had left me the means of transportation. The fact that Arnold was personally going to the Adina Corporation to clean up what he called a Parthia mess, that told me the place held critical secrets, which is exactly why I had to get there first. Adina. I knew I'd heard it before, but where? Then it hit me. The Adina Indians, builders of the Serpent Mound. I didn't believe in coincidence anymore, but could there actually be a connection between a 5,000-year-old Earth sign and a biotech corporation? Turned out, Arnold and I weren't the only ones interested in Adina. Looked like the Department of Homeland Security had raided the place, and it must have happened right before the fall. Why else would their cars still be here? So I had to search quickly, which isn't easy when you don't know what you're looking for. The fact that the body remained meant he would have survived the fall, if only he hadn't run from the Homeland Security officers. The fall had nearly destroyed us all, but obviously, irony was immune. It was no wonder Parthia wanted this place swept under the rug. Before I read even a single page, I knew that folder contained the answers I'd been searching for. It was all right there in black and white. Project Continuum was a private research and development operation funded by the Parthia Group. They had paid the Adina Corporation to manufacture nanotechnology which, when released into the atmosphere, would target a specific genetic marker found only in humans. The evidence explained how most of the human race got wiped out. But what it didn't explain, if this really was just an act of terrorism, why did some people survive? What was Parthea's real agenda? As Hastings himself had said back in Selena, the truth was very complicated. I've always been fascinated by puzzles. Used to be one of my favorite things to do with Kizzy. What I love most is knowing that the answer's right there in front of you, but only if you look hard enough. I had that same feeling as I pored over the Project Continuum material. From what I could tell, the nanoparticles were engineered to be self-replicating, allowing them to spread invisibly. Once in place, the particles were supposed to identify people with a certain genetic marker. But there was another folder, and in that folder was a Pentagon report, probably courtesy of Hastings, on upgrades made to their EMP satellite weapon system. Upgrades Parthea considered a threat to their plans. Made me wonder why the Adena Corp was discussing all this the night of the fall. What were the odds that two people would have survived in the same lab? I realized it had to be another hardened room. The room felt like a crypt, a place where the past had been entombed. But with one flip of a switch, the truth was resurrected.
Anna, listen. I'm probably gonna get arrested. Homeland Security just pulled up outside. But don't worry, I'm the one who tipped them, anonymously, so I'll be fine. But I guarantee you this will get covered up, and somebody has to know what's really been going on. So here goes. The Parthia Group's been paying us to release nanoswarms over the past 7 years. About a month ago, we reached critical mass. But every time there's a lightning storm, people report seeing ghosts, and that started a whole investigation. And now there's talk about some EMP weapon that could ruin everything. Parthia says it's just part of a medical experiment, and these are people who've given billions to scientific research. But when they moved up the test date to tonight, I don't know, I just panicked. And maybe I'm paranoid, but what if they're really terrorists? Everyone down! Down! It's okay, I'm the one who...
Jesus Christ. Looks like they already released this stuff.
I'll call in the alert. You shut down this room.
There it was, the missing piece. From what I'd learned at NORAD, I could now put the puzzle together. When Homeland Security issued a terror alert, the government must have turned on the EMP to wipe out the nanotech. That was their failsafe plan. But even when I could finally see the whole picture, one thing still wasn't coming into focus. Why didn't the EMP work? I needed weeks to process everything I'd discovered at the Adena Corporation. The answers I now had only created more questions. Were the survivors the ones with the genetic marker, or were we the ones without it? Unfortunately, Arnold and the New World historians were coming, so quiet contemplation was a luxury I couldn't afford. They'd come to destroy all the evidence I'd found, so I had no choice but to get the hell out of there. With no witnesses to this ugly moment in history, Arnold had abandoned all pretense. He was simply gonna blow the place sky high and bury the truth forever. Staying out of sight in that clean room was like trying to hide in a fishbowl, and it was only a matter of time before Subu found me. I'd been held at gunpoint on numerous occasions since the fall, but with a professional mercenary at the other end, it felt like this would probably be the last time. At first, it didn't make any sense, but then I realized Arnold was closing the circle of knowledge. Anyone and everyone who knew the truth about Parthia had to die.
Warning, security system activate.
During my journey home, I had counted the time in days. Since arriving at Adina, I had measured my movements in minutes. But now, my whole life had been reduced to a matter of seconds. What I've learned since the fall is that each step is more important than the last. Because where we walk and how we tread defines the path we follow. I've also been told that the enemy of my enemy is actually my friend. That was too much to hope for with Subu, but I was counting on him at least being an ally. After all, we were both united now by our shared hatred of Arnold, not to mention our need to escape.
There might be a way out of here, but it'll take both of us. You're gonna have to trust me.
It wasn't in Subu's nature to trust, nor was it in mine at that point. But we both wanted to live, so we formed an unholy alliance. It wasn't the first time on my quest I had a serious scrape with death, but it was the first time I couldn't just celebrate my survival. I knew if I let Arnold live, he could follow me. Janelle and Kizzy could die.
It's over, Arnold. The lies, the killing. I switched out your history book with my journal. The whole world's gonna know the truth now about you and Parthia and everything.
You can't pull that trigger, Shoemaker.
I've changed.
In my rush to stay alive, I hadn't even thought to count Arnold's bullets. But he'd spent them all killing off the historians.
You, my friend, are gonna have to kill me with your bare hands.
You really need one of these.
The universe kept telling me I needed a gun, so I figured it was high time I finally listened. Had a few more steps to take on my journey, and I knew the last ones would be the most important of all. Because what awaited me in Seattle was the whole truth. Not just about the fall, but about my family.